Welcome to the next video. In this video, we will be performing the physics setup of the case. So I will be opening the setup module and selecting the double precision over here, and depending on the number of solvers in your machine, you can just select one or two. If you're not confident or if you're not aware of this information, then you can just move with the one solver. That will be fine. The only difference will be with respect to the amount of time taken to solve the case. For example, if we have one solver dealing with the simulation, then it is like one man is working on a case, and if we have two solvers, then you can just imagine that there are two people who are working on the case. So you can understand that with the help of more solvers, you can try to finish the case in a quicker real time. But if you're not bothered about the time and all, you can just go with the one solver, or if you don't want to load your system with much effort, you can just go with the one solver. In some cases, we will be having multiple jobs to perform or multiple tasks. For example, we will be running the simulation in the background, then we will be using some other windows for other applications, right? So in those cases, I personally do not allocate more number of processes for the Fluent, because I want the other processes to perform other jobs, like such as creating design models or any other complex task in the computer, right? So it depends on the complete individual's choices. Now the kind of simulation which we are performing will be a transient simulation, okay, because there is a rotation of the domain, and in these kind of cases we have to utilize the transient time steps, and the solver will be pressure based solver. So we can just select the pressure based solver by default, and after selecting the transient, we can just move to the models. In the models, I will not be turning on the energy because I'm not bothered about the temperature differences in the domain. But if you want to perform some simulation wherein temperatures are involved, then you can add up the energy equation as well to the number of equations being solved in the case. Now for the turbulence model, I will be going with the k epsilon turbulence model in the realizable form with the standard wall functions. Okay, and I believe that I'm hoping that the y plus will be in the range of more than 30, and in that case I will be moving with the standard wall functions, because I do not want to resolve the boundary layer, and I do not want to target a y plus of very smaller values such as 1 or 2. But technically, in cases where you have complex scenarios such as wind turbines and all, then you have to target a y plus of below 5 is recommended in that cases. Or if you're comfortable, if you are able to prove that your results will be achievable with standard wall function, that means by maintaining a y plus of greater than 30, then you can move with the standard wall functions as well. Now all about the wall functions and y plus I've already discussed in other course. A specific section has been created with respect to that, and then that cannot be repeated in this course. So if you're interested, you can just check up that thing. Anyways, coming back to the main model, we have selected the turbulence modeling. Then we have this material. The material will be air, okay, because we have assuming that this fan is present in the domain which is passing air through it. Okay, so we will not be changing anything with the materials. Now coming to the cell zone conditions, if you remember, in the design modeler we have renamed the domains. Now the outer domain is the outer domain, the outer shell or the outer enclosure what you are finding. The inner domain is the enclosure which is wrapping the fan. All right, so this is the inner cell zone condition. I will be just editing this inner cell zone condition or inner domain by clicking on edit option, and you will be having a window over here. Now in this window there are different options which we have to consider, and as I mentioned you in the beginning of the first lecture, that is in the modeling part, I said you that we will be performing the sliding mesh operation, that is nothing but the mesh motion. All right, now the Selection of mesh motion will activate this mesh motion tab, and there are certain operations or certain values which we have to enter over here. Okay, and this will be with respect to the rotation. Now the first will be the rotation axis origin. Now the model which I have created over here, all right, I've created in a way that the origin of this particular model is the center of the complete is the rotation axis origin. Okay, now for example, let me just zoom in. You can see that the origin xyz, the coordinate system, is at the center of the complete domain, right? Can you see this xyz coordinate system? So that is at the center. The fan is located on that. So this will be the origin of your rotation, that is 0 0 0. If you have created in a way that the fan is located at 1 meter in the z, or 1 meter in the x, or 1 meter in the y, so you just have to enter 001 or 100 or 010, and technically, try to maintain the origin as 0, because that will be more beneficial with respect to the simulation. Because if you are not providing this origin axis origin appropriately, then you cannot expect the solver to solve appropriately, because the solver solves whatever intake which we are giving. Okay, so it depends on the user to provide the appropriate inputs to the software. Now what is the rotation axis? We are like let me come back to the Creo. Now you can see that the x is in this direction, y is in this direction, and z is in the top, isn't it? X, y, and z. Now the object is rotating along the x-axis, you can see, right? So x-axis is in this direction, that is on the right side, and you're rotating along the x-axis, but you're not rotating along the y. All right, so be careful with the coordinate system what you have created. In the software may assume that z is the coordinate, z is the axis which is the rotation axis, but in this domain x is the rotation axis. So I'll be selecting x over here, so I need to just type 1 over here and make 0 over here. Now we don't have any velocity translation in the sense in the axial direction, but we have the rotational velocity, and you can see that we can enter the rotational velocity in radians per second, or else we can change the units for the angular velocity to be revolutions per minute, and just select it, close it, and you can see the speed is now in revolutions per minute. Now how many revolutions we require depends on the case what we have. Okay, so for this particular example, let me maintain a revolution of 25 revs per minute. Okay, so your inner domain will be revolving at this particular speed. That means it will be having a 25 revolutions per minute. If you want, you can just increase it to 40 as well. All right, now this boundary conditions depend on your cases. Clear? It varies with every case. Like, it's not constant for all cases, and you must be pretty aware of this thing. Now we are done with this the setting up of the rotational boundaries. Now we just have to go to the boundary conditions and align it with respect to the boundary conditions or the zone types. Now in the boundary conditions, we will not be assigning any velocity intake. Okay, so we will be just keeping the boundaries as pressure inlets, and we will be just assigning the normal operating temperature, that is 0 gauge pressure. Okay, the operating pressure is 101.325, which means that the gauge pressure will be 0 over here. All right, now what I will be doing is, rather than assigning a velocity inlet, I will be assigning it as pressure inlet. Clear? So this will be assuming that the field of air which is present over here, the still air that will be sucked inside and exhausted from the outside, that is what is happening. Clear? Now the pressure inlet, just maintain the gauge total pressure as 0, click apply. If you want, you can reduce the turbulence intensity, and you can just close it. Now for the pressure outlet, just keep it as pressure outlet. For the outlet, you have interfaces over here. If you want, you can just verify the interfaces over here by double clicking on this, and you can see there are 2 interfaces. Right, now you can just close it, and you can just leave the boundaries of walls as it is. And you can we will just stop over here. In the next video we will conclude the solution setup.